certified or qualified to say anything, but being in the senior age, I am 80 plus, I can say that from any building, if the foundation is not good, it is not firm, the building has no meaning.
Yes.
So similarly, spirituality is something which we cannot cross over to spirituality all of a sudden. It has to be a good foundation.
Yes, Prabhu.
If the life is not honest, affectionate, true to the relationship, true to your country, true to your friends, true to the society, one can never cross over to spirituality, because spirituality and health, these are the two things in the world which are not transferable.
Yes.
It has to be originated from the within.
Yes.
Nobody can transfer spirituality into any other body. So it has to be self-generated, and unless the body is pure, honest to all these things which I have specified, it is impossible to experience spirituality. That's all.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, Mataji.
Involving into the devotional service of the Sri Sri Radha and Krishna.
Yes. So spirituality is the study of, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, spirituality is the study of consciousness and its source. Consciousness meaning ourself, our soul, and its source. The source of the soul is, Krishna himself. So it is actually the study of the consciousness and its source. Humans in general have a spiritual drive. All of us, some of us have uncovered it, but some of us haven't uncovered it, but all of us have some sort of spiritual drive. Just imagine, instead of Newton, if that apple had fallen down from the tree on the head of a monkey, what would the monkey do?
Eat it.
Eat it, take it, run away. Something like that. Something like that would happen. Because that's the tendency of animals. But what did Newton, on the other hand, do? Newton invented this whole theory, right? He got into this whole thing of why did the apple fall down? What was its purpose of coming? Why is it falling down, not going up? And then this whole law of gravity came into picture, which is the basis of so many other theories in science today. So spiritual drive is basically the drive to make sense to do things, to know who is who, what is happening. And that sense is something that humans in general have. Right? Sometimes we call it the inner calling. Some people have that inner calling, especially I've seen in Australia that some people will suddenly, get into all this chanting and things like that, saying that they could feel that they're not connecting to the material world. Something else was calling them, and there is this inner drive that calls them. Well, nothing of that sort happened to me. There was no sort of inner calling. Growing up, when I was doing my master's, my university in Mumbai used to share walls with ISKCON Mira Road. I have never gone to that temple, ever. I used to sometimes go to ISKCON Juhu, and I used to see deity of Prabhupada there. And I used to wonder, why is everybody paying obeisances to this murti? That's what we used to call it then. And why is the deity of Prabhupada so much bigger than Radha and Krishna? Why is it that way? And then I used to see this kirtans happening, and people used to be jumping and dancing joyfully, and I used to wonder. And I have told my dad this, that I'm never going to dance like that. Though I used to love Bollywood dancing, I never wanted to be a part of the dancing crowd. And at Juhu temple, I clearly remember, as we used to exit, sometimes they used to serve out in the hand. I used to never take it, or I used to take very little just to honor it, because I wasn't sure if the hands of the people who have actually done it, is it clean or not clean. So, and I have no attraction for the deities then, I have no attraction for reading. So how come, what brings me here? Is the question. Not everybody has that inner calling, and every person seated over here will have a different story to share. Right? But look at me today. Things have changed so drastically, right? I'm one of the first people to start dancing when the kirtans start to happen. All of us, we crave to get that, maha from others' plates. We always like to take that. So things have changed so drastically, so much, so quickly for me. There was no sort of inner calling, but it was the association of devotees that kept it going. It was the association of devotees who actually kept me here, and then lots of, and then obviously when you take one step, Krishna takes many, many more steps, close to you. And that's exactly what happened. And everyone will have a similar story to share, I'm sure. So the goal, so what is the goal of spiritual life? So we are trying to understand spirituality in daily life. So there are two terms in it, spirituality and daily life. So we're trying to understand what is spirituality, what is the goal of spiritual life. And once we are clear about that, then we can understand how do we incorporate that spirituality into our daily life. So that's what I'm trying to do. So we know what is spirituality. It is the study of the self and the origin, which is Krishna. And what is the goal of spiritual life? Again, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he's very good with words, the way he plays around with words. He says the goal of spiritual life is to make spiritual life our goal. Right? The goal of spiritual life is to make spiritual life our goal. And many people would generally see spirituality as a recreation activity. We see in India, or we see in a lot of movies as well, in Indian movies, we see that, the grandmas or the grandpas would generally say, oh, I'm too tired of my daughter-in-law, I'm too tired of my grandkids, send me to Haridwar. That's what she says to her son. We have seen it in so many movies, and it also happens in our life, where people, just for recreation, when they're too stressed, they want to go to Haridwar or some other dham. I had a friend in Brisbane who used to go vegetarian every Tuesday, still goes vegetarian every Tuesday. And I have a few other friends who go vegetarian every Navratri, right, the festival of Durga. And I have asked them, why is it that only on Tuesday you're a vegetarian, or only during those 9 days of Navratri? And they would say, that's our day dedicated to spirituality. So out of 7 days, they are dedicating that one day to spirituality. So it's almost like a leisure, a pious leisure that someone has. It's a pious recreational activity that someone has. It's on their menu card. But whatever be our initial impetus, right? The initial impetus can be different for different people. For some, it starts on a Tuesday. So for some, it starts on a Saturday evening at BBY. And for some, it starts somewhere else. Whatever might be, the moment we get into this path of spiritual exploration, what happens is we raise ourselves to a slightly higher platform, because actually we are trying to understand and question a lot of things in life, like what is life? How should we lead our life? So we're raising slightly above it. So to satisfy the spiritual appetite, we need to upgrade to an understanding of spiritual life. Instead of seeing material life as the real life, we need to see spiritual life as life itself. So material life, there's nothing as material life. That is only spiritual life. We try to make God as the center of every activity that we do. There is nothing like spiritual life, everything is spiritual life. And that's the whole focus. We don't try to incorporate spirituality into just some aspects of our life. We try to incorporate spirituality into every aspect of our life. That's when we have Krishna in the center of our lives. And that's why the life revolves around Krishna. Krishna, we have heard this verse so many times in 4.8 Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna descends into this world to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. So Krishna is appearing in this world to end this intrusion, to bring some order in the society. But what about the order in our hearts? So we're talking about our order in the society to kill the miscreants. But those miscreants also exist in our hearts. It's not just outside, it's not external, it's more internal. And to quote, the next verse of the same chapter says, Janma karma cha me devyam evo yuveti tattvataha tvakte deham punar janma naiti mam iti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again, this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Right? So this actually highlights the goal of our spiritual life. It talks about, and this verse is quoted, it's one of the most quoted verses by Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. He's used this verse many, many times in his classes to help us understand that divine and his delightful pastimes, so that we can fall in love with Krishna and then return back to him. He's eagerly waiting for us on the other end. So by now we understand that spirituality is actually nothing but the study of the self and understanding Krishna, his activities, his appearance, his love for us. He's waiting for us on the other end, and that's what spirituality is all about. Now, we'll get into our daily life. So the ultimate goal of life is to reach Krishna. And when we enshrine that goal in the center of our consciousness, we restore order in the inner world. Right? That's when we are going to restore the order in the inner world. So that is the first aspect of including spirituality into our daily life. What about daily life? What do all of us do in our daily life? What are the activities that we have in our daily lives? Would someone like to tell us? What are the activities that we have in our daily lives? Except the last question. Eating. Sleeping. Work. Anything else? Come on.
Cooking.
School.
Taking care of kids.
Sorry? Coming from you does not sound good at all from you. Fighting. Come on, you're forgetting one of the main aspects. What do we spend our time on? Prayer. Okay. Chanting. Okay. Social media. That's what I was looking for. Social media. So that's what we spend our time. So our daily activity comprises, a daily routine comprises of all of these activities. And would you like to know what does Srila Prabhupada's daily activities comprised of? So I happened to find a daily routine of Srila Prabhupada in London. And this is recorded by Yamuna Mataji. And she says, so she says that so Srila Prabhupada used to wake up at 1 a.m. at night, chant and translate. At about 3:30, he used to attend Aarti in his own room. So he used to do a separate Aarti. At 4:30 a.m., he attends Aarti and Srimad Bhagavatam class and Kirtan in the main temple. At about 6:30 a.m., goes for a morning walk for about an hour, takes Ayurvedic medicine and then a light breakfast. At about 9 a.m., chants Kirtan or sings prayers alone in his room. At 10, dictates letter, instructs devotees or has guests. At 12, takes a massage, takes a bath, then chants Gayatri Mantra. At about 1, honors lunch prasadam, chants more rounds of japa and then rest. At about 4:30 p.m., takes a little fresh juice, frequently sits with devotees for informal talks. At about 6:30 p.m., attends the evening aarti in his room. On occasion, he respects a light meal. Alternatively, goes to London or elsewhere for an engagement or as an open visiting hours. And retires or gets back to rest at about 10:30 or 11 p.m. Now, that's the routine of Srila Prabhupada. Nowhere close to what a routine that we have. But then there is a question that you guys have in your mind, isn't it? What's that question? Come on. He was a sannyasi. His life was dedicated to all of this, so he could do all of that. He could spend the entire day on, chanting and preaching, and that's what his day looks like. But what if I tell you, I found someone else who is, okay, let's see if you can guess it. And seeing as if you've guessed it at the first go, please don't say. So I'm talking about someone who is a pioneering spiritual leader, a householder, a magistrate working in colonial India. So I'm talking about the 1800s. Yes. Oh wow, that was nice and quick. So we're talking about a preacher, a writer, a poet, a grahastha, which means he was a father. We have 2 kids, at the most 4 kids. I don't think anyone has more than 4 in this room. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he had 10 kids. And one of them was someone, we see him on the altar, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is the guru of Srila Prabhupada. We also see Bhakti Vinod Thakur on the altar. And his wife was a devoted wife, and he kept his wife happy, the kids were happy, he raised them really well. And despite all of that, he found time for chanting. He found time for everything. Would you like to know what his schedule looks like? So that's his schedule. So, we're taking it from the evening. From about 7:30 p.m. At about 8 p.m. he would start to take rest for 2 hours. He wakes up at 10 p.m. He lights the oil lamp and starts to write. So he has written many books. At about 4 a.m. he takes rest again. So from 10 to 4 he is writing. At 4 a.m. he takes rest again for half an hour. 4:30 he rises, washes hands and face, chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra Japa. 7 o'clock he starts to write his letter. 7:30 he starts his reading. 8:30 he receives guests and continues to read. At 9:30 he takes rest for about a short 15 minutes nap. At about 9:45 he takes his morning bath, has his breakfast, half a quart milk, couple of chapatis, some fruits, and then he goes for his office duties. He goes to the court in carriage back then. At about 10 o'clock the courtroom trials and duties begin. At 1 o'clock the courtroom finishes. He would come back home, take a bath, refresh. 2 o'clock return to office for some work. 5 o'clock translates work from Sanskrit to Bengali, then take evening bath and meal of rice, couple of chapatis, half a liter of milk. That's Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So he was not a sannyasi, but he could do all of that and keep his wife and kids happy at the same time. So obviously we are not trying, these examples are just here to inspire us. We're not trying to imitate any of these senior Vaishnavas, because they came down to this world only to raise us, and that was the whole point. But they're setting a very good example for us to get inspired by. And as I was going through these routines of different senior Vaishnavas, I realized that it's all about the choices that we make on our day-to-day basis. So either we can be very conscious of the choices that we make, or we just do whatever the crowd is doing and without realizing what is happening. A famous politician, Eleanor Roosevelt, famously said, "I am who I am today because of the choices I made yesterday." Right? So, for example, we may choose to get onto an airplane from, say, Brisbane to India or Brisbane to London. But once we are on the airplane, then do we have the choice to hop off? We don't have that choice. But in the airplane, once we are in the airplane, we have the choice to choose our meals, to choose the kind of books we are reading, to make the choices if we want to rest or want to, just sit up. Do we want to hear something, watch a movie? So those are the choices that we still have when we are on the airplane. And this simple analogy of life explains a lot about our own lives as well. We are in whatever conditions we are today because of our past lives, maybe because of the karma that we have, or because of the choices that we have actually made in the past. So it is not our choice to be who we are today. But the choices that we will be making now while we are on the plane, that is our choice. And we can very consciously decide on the kind of choices that we are going to make. It's almost like Srila Prabhupada used to quote this, another analogy, used to say, on a boat of life, you may not have control over which way the wind blows, but you do have control over the sails and how you're going to respond to the winds of change. So we don't have control over the wind, but we do have control over ourselves, the choices that we are making. So basically it's trying to tell us that we cannot choose our circumstances. A lot of times we may be working hard, or we have other sort of situations in our life where we have to take care of our parents, or we are not physically very fit. We can work towards that, but there's something that is not curable. So those are the circumstances that's not in our hands. But there are a lot of choices still on a day-to-day basis that we can take, which can bring about a revolutionary change into our life. If we focus too much of what cannot be changed, that leads to frustration, right? But if we focus of what we can actually change, that's going to lead to growth. So we have choices in everything we do, not just action, like even action of words. Words actually can make or break relationships. Having the right choice of food, say for example, we take simple example of food. If we have the right kind of meal, that can help us to keep healthy, or that can lead us to an unhealthy lifestyle. We can be falling sick again and again with our immunity is going low. So it is a choice that we are making again. So our choice of consciousness can actually change the experience of life. Spiritual life overall is very scientific. You know, anything that we do in science, we experience it. When we do something, we experience the changes that happen. But for that, we have to perform the experiment in science, right? The kids will understand that. You will have to perform the experiment to understand if the mixing of different chemicals is working or not. Similarly, to understand this experiment of life, we'll have to actually perform a few things, perform a few experiments. If you haven't started already, start with mantra meditation, start with chanting, reading Bhagavad Gita every day. Simple examples like that, or offering bhoga and eating that as prasadam. Simple things like that can actually help us elevate our consciousness. Again, Chaitanya Prabhu, I'm quoting him too much because he makes us understand the philosophy of life so well, and he's so good with his words. He says, we may think that of our choices, like choosing a particular turn at an intersection. But it's actually not that. It is actually, like the Prabhu initially mentioned, he said that it is actually more like choosing the structure and the design of the house. It's almost setting the foundation. So our choices are actually the foundation. They are not just an intersection of the road. They actually set the foundation for us. And they don't just shape us externally, but they also shape us internally. Right? They determine the inner strength that we are going to gather. If our inner house, which is our subtle body, is not strong enough, we may just fall apart. But if our inner self is very strong, then we'll just fly. We'll just fly. And in a renowned scripture, Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that different birds fly according to their levels of consciousness in the sky. You know how we see different birds flying in the sky? Even all of us individually are flying in the sky and according to our level of consciousness. Some are low, some are really high. So, Srila Prabhupada writes in the introduction to Nectar of Instruction, which is a little book with lots of prominent instructions on how to lead a life. If you don't have that book already, you can grab one from the bookstore there. He says very nicely that once we come to the mode of goodness, so all of these choices that we are making will actually get us to the mode of goodness. How many modes do we have? 3 modes. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So all the choices that we are making will actually get us to the mode of goodness. And once we are there, what happens is, when we come to the mode of goodness, things become clearer, and then we can understand. And then to further advance, Krishna reveals things to us. Then we don't have to do anything. We just have to be in the mode of goodness, and then Krishna will start to reveal us, give us more knowledge and enlighten us a lot more. So in our lives, we see sometimes that we are in the mode of goodness, sometimes in the mode of passion, sometimes more in the mode of ignorance. Can you give me an example of the mode of ignorance? In the evening. Yes, from laziness. Yes, laziness is the mode of ignorance. And what about mode of passion? Who can give me an example of mode of passion?
Too much attachment to material world.
Sorry, Mataji?
Too much attachment to material world and material desires.
Material desires, and when you constantly do things to fulfill those material desires, yes, that is the mode of passion. And someone said spicy food is mode of passion. So what is mode of goodness? Any examples for mode of goodness? Yes, Prabhu?
Charity, honesty, truthfulness.
You've got it all, Prabhu. You've got the list ready. Any Matajis? Mode of goodness examples?
Getting up early.
Yes, waking up early in the morning. That's a good one. So Radhanath Swami, he says, every choice we make creates a habit. Right? So spirituality in daily life was the topic. So far we have discussed what is spirituality, what is the goal of spirituality, and what our daily life actually looks like. And what are some prominent examples from the history of, of Bhakti Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, what their daily routine looked like. So when do we need to start our spiritual practices? Srila Prabhupada says, no, sorry, this is different. Aspects of life where we can include Krishna. So there are different aspects of our life where we can include Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada says, just work in such a way that God may see you. This is the Krishna consciousness movement. Everyone is busy to see God. Of course, it is not easy to see God, but a devotee is not busy to see God, but he wants God to see him. So every activity that we do in our day-to-day life, we don't endeavor to see God, we expect God to see us. So we have to act in such a way that God looks at us. So now, what I want is, I've just written down a simple example over here, and I want you to give me different examples from your life of how you can include Krishna into your day-to-day activities. So for example, I've written over here, my work is 30 minutes away from home, so I can listen to a class by Srila Prabhupada or some kirtans. This will help me utilize my traveling time in thinking about Krishna. So when you're talking about your activity, just be a little bit specific and on how it's going to help you develop your spiritual life. So just be a little bit specific, and if you can think of an example from your life, let's have a few creative minds, creative juices flowing here. You can be as creative as you like. Yes, Mataji.
I have a lunch break, so I can have 4 rounds done in between of work.
Wonderful. And how does that help you?
That helps to finish rounds and connect to Krishna.
And connect to Krishna. That is important, Mataji, connection to Krishna. 4 rounds during lunch break. Okay, any other examples? Yes, sorry?
While traveling in the car, I listen to the podcast of senior devotees like
Chaitanya Charitabhu. And that helps you to
elevate myself in spiritual.
Yes. Yes, it sets you for the day. If you do that in the morning, it actually sets you for the day, isn't it, Prabhu? Any other, someone?
Making a donation to the temple.
Yes, making a donation to the temple. And how does that help you, Prabhu?
Keeps my karma, positive karma, and temple ka seva hota hai.
Yes.
Prasad banta hai, so
Yes.
public largely benefit.
Yes.
So Bhagwan ki seva mein lagta hai paisa.
Yes. Actually, what Prabhu said, thank you, Prabhu. What is very important as Grihasthas, it's our duty to actually donate to the temple, because when we make those donations, that is used in the service. So if we go back a little bit in that example, which means he is actually working to make those donations. So he's actually thinking about Krishna even then. So if we can work, it is working for Krishna. I think someone else was saying something. Yes.
Making bhogas for the Krishna and taking that as a prasadam.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's connect us to when we are cooking and with the things of Krishna's. I mean, sometimes we are thinking like what he likes or like, and then we cook accordingly. So
that is such a good mood to have, to think about Krishna. What is he going to like? Instead of, I want to eat pizza today. So that's a beautiful. Yes, ma'am.
Grow some flowers in the garden.
Wonderful. That's such a good example. If you already have the flowers in the garden, how about we change our mindset and we start to think about, okay, I'm going to offer these flowers, these beautiful flowers to Krishna. Right? So that's just changing the way we look at the already existing things around us. Thank you. Anyone?
Have your card number plate as
You know what? That's a good one. Have your card number plate as Krishna, and then everybody on the road, when he sees your card, says Krishna. So that's preaching, Prabhu. That's $400 well spent. Okay.
It's no my number plate, that's right.
All right.
You can feed prasadam to your colleagues in at work.
At work. Yes, you can feed prasadam. I think a lot of us do that. I wanted someone from the youth to give me an example now. At school or at uni, something that you do.
While you're studying, you listen to some kirtans, I guess. While you're studying, you listen to some kirtans.
While you're studying, you're listening to the kirtans. You really do that? That's amazing. That's wonderful. Thank you. So now, it's very simple, right? We all heard some examples of how we can include Krishna into our daily life. I actually found something very interesting. I really don't know. I tried to find the source of this information, but I don't have it, but it makes sense. It's A, B, C, D, E of spiritual life. Right? A is for association, B is for books, C is for chanting, D is for diet, the prasadam that we eat. So first four, A, B, C and D, if we can see, they all are about making the external changes. And the moment we make the external changes, E, we enter into the Dham. We don't have to physically go to Dham. We can make our heart a Dham as well as we are entering. So I thought that was quite relevant, A, B, C, D, E, association, books, chanting, and diet. And when are we going to start? So we know what spiritual life is, we know what routine should look like, and all of you have already given me examples of how you can include Krishna into your life. When are we going to start practicing Krishna consciousness or spiritual life then? Yes, Prabhu? Yesterday. Srila Prabhupada says it is important to take up Krishna consciousness immediately because we do not know how much time is left before our death. It's quite a powerful statement, quite a touching, a topic that we don't want to think about, and we think it's never going to happen. But yes, like Prabhu said, we should have started yesterday. You know, some people, I've heard Sakhirai Prabhu saying this, I started Krishna consciousness really late in my life. Right? Some people say that. And so while we are, and for me it's like, oh, I'll do it, some other day, kind of a thing. When I started the practice of Krishna consciousness and I went to India for the first time, it was a shock for my family because no one in my family is a devotee and everyone was like, this is not your age to think about and talk about all these things. I'm sure all of you all have gone through those experiences in your life where your parents are like, telling you this is not the time to do it. When you grow old, you're meant to be doing it. But one Prabhu was mentioning at the very beginning that we must start young because it's very hard to think about the Lord at a later stage. Yes, Prabhu?
So no doubt you've heard the interview with Srila Prabhupada when he came to the West, and someone said, why did you initiate young men into the order of sannyas?
Yeah.
And Srila Prabhupada said that it's never, people are never too young to take up a renounced order of life.
Yes, it's true. Never too young to, because it's an internal state. It's not an external state. We are talking about internal state. If someone's grown in maturity to that extent, then I think, yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing. Yes, Prabhu.
We always say that we want to offer fresh flowers to the Lord.
Yes.
We want to offer fresh bhoga to the Lord.
Yes.
Then why do we want to offer still life to the Lord?
Yes. Yeah, it's true. Why do we want to offer still? Yes. Thank you. So we should have started it yesterday. Anyways, it's never late. So how about we plan for tomorrow? I thought for the last part of our class today, we will be doing some planning. I will be passing around, Keshni will be passing around some sheets of paper and some pens for each one of you. I hope we have enough pens. I heard Srila Prabhupada saying that intention is more important than perfection. So we might not be perfect in our endeavors, but our intention needs to be there. And every day is a new day. As we start, every day becomes a new day. So how about, we're going to pass around a paper, and on that paper, we are going to write down our plan for tomorrow, Sunday. Right? We're going to write down our plan, and instead of writing eating, if it's our eating time, we're going to write honoring prasadam. Instead of writing cooking, like you said, Mataji, we'll be writing cooking for the lordships, plus listening to kirtans if you're doing that. And then social media, Prabhu was mentioning about social media. Maybe 10 minutes, I do 30 minutes every day, but I'll be doing 10 minutes tomorrow and then watching Prabhupada memories or something like that. Right? Let's be practical about the plan that we make for tomorrow. According to our time, place and circumstance, Srila Prabhupada has always highlighted those three. The principles have to be strong, but the details can be adjusted a little bit. So according to our time, place and circumstance, let's make our plan for tomorrow. And as the papers are being passed around, if you don't need a paper, you can also use your phone, and at least you can start thinking about What would you like to do tomorrow? And then we'll ask a few of you all to actually share your daily plan if it's okay. Especially one of the students from school, Vasu. Just give them a minute. So like we saw Srila Bhakti Vidona Thakur's plan, what time to wake up, what time to take a nap, what time to cook, then freshen up. So we're going to write all of that. We're going to plan our day for tomorrow. So if you wake up, say generally at 6 o'clock, how about you start waking up just half an hour early, say 5:30 a.m. That's realistic. So we're going to be realistic about our plan according to our situation. If someone's waking up at 3 o'clock, I think that's good enough. We leave it at that.
If anyone wants help with 7:30 schedule, there is power.
Also in your plan, you could include the Bhagavatam class that happens tomorrow over here at 7:30 a.m.
You must include.
Sorry?
You must include.
That must be a part of your plan.
You're making just like every day plan, not just for tomorrow.
No, only for tomorrow. This is only for tomorrow.
This is only for tomorrow.
Only for tomorrow. It's weekend because weekend is different from the weekday. So think about how you can include Krishna into different aspects of your life as well. It doesn't have to be in a big way. In a very subtle way as well is okay. So will you give you about 2 more minutes? Love it how sincerely everybody is writing. It's not even looking up. It's just engrossed in writing. 2 minutes is up, but I'll give you 2 extra grace minutes. See, one of them is actually finished one side of the page, is almost going to turn to the other side now. Ding, 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 ding. Time's up. Okay, so as promised, we'll share a few spiritual planners, the daily routine of a few of you all. We'll start with, whom should we start with? Any brave people in the room, or should I pick up people? Come on. Okay, so we'll have Vasu. What grade are you in, Vasu? So we have Vasu, who is in grade 8. Okay, let's see what he's got a plan as.
So I'll wake up at 7 o'clock and then get ready for the day, and then from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock I'll chant, and then from 8 o'clock to 8:30 I'll eat breakfast for sure. From 8:30 to 9 o'clock I can study, and then from 9 o'clock to 11 I'll attend GGG, and then after GGG I'll attend a program at until 2 o'clock, and then after that go home and relax. After that I'll study. And then from 3:30 to 4:30, I could go on social media and maybe watch something related to Srila Prabhupada. And then from 4:30 to 5:30, I could go outside with my brother, do some activities. After 5:30, I could get ready for tomorrow. And then from 6 o'clock, attend Aarti at home. After that, eat prashadam. After spend time with the family, and then at 8:30 I could read a book by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, 10 Leadership Sutras, and then sleep.
Wonderful. I think he deserves a big round of applause for that. Because that is such a realistic man. He has included time in there for his family, for his brother to go outside to look after himself, for his health. He's been realistic by including the social media in there, which was nice. And your grandparents now know, your grandfather has just heard your plan, so he's going to see if you're going to follow that tomorrow as well. Sorry to put you in a spot, but thank you so much, that was nice. So a school student can incorporate like Krishna in so many ways into their lives every day. Okay, let's hear it from someone else. Any Matajis? Are brave enough to share their routine? Maybe not everything as well, even if you wanted to share a few aspects which are just very creative. Or anybody in the room would like to share something. Come on, don't make me call out your names. Dharmik, Prabhu?
I can vouch for Vasu. He chants at least 10 hours every day.
Oh, wonderful.
He finishes his day with reading books, and I know he's reading currently the leadership sutra from Chaitanya
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. You have a wonderful grandson. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to pick someone now. We need one more. Dharmik Prabhu? Sorry.
Every Monday I've got my assignment week open, so it's just assignments.
Oh, it's just assignments. Fair enough. That's why I said according to your time, place and circumstance, if an assignment is due, you have to do that. There's no other option. Somebody else? Virat Krishna Prabhu?
One is...
Can you pass on the mic?
One is a bit hectic. Wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, chant my rounds, and then prepare for Srimad Bhagavatam class, do the reading, and then come to the center, get everything ready, and do the Srimad Bhagavatam class. After that, we have breakfast associated with devotees. Then after that, we have an outreach program to go to, and a few devotees are going for that. And I think by the time that finishes, it'll be maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Go home, spend time with family, then have a bit of rest. And then I have a plan for doing some lawn mowing after that. Has been planning for quite some time. And and then spend some time with family and do evening aarti and prashadam.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's including all aspects, A, B, C, D, E, the ones that we've discussed. All the aspects have been covered in that schedule. Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing. Even lawn mowing is important, by the way, because if we don't have a clean house, so cleanliness, Srila Prabhupada said, is both external and internal. Even externally, we need to maintain our house. We need to keep our house clean. And the mood can be different for different people, but sometimes when I am sweeping the house, I'm thinking, okay, Krishna is going to come home. So that's why I'm cleaning. So different people can have different moods when they are cleaning. So even that becomes an act for Krishna.
And one thing I'd like to add is that, of course, my schedule includes quite disproportional time I'm spending from home, but at that same time, my good wife compensates for that, doing all the housework and things. So
Prabhu, you just gave some brownie points for that.
I hope everyone tells her that.
Okay, one last one before we conclude for the RT. Anyone would like to share? Russell and Buddha, probably you were raising your hand. Catching is great. Any Matajis, none of you all have said. Keshni? Sorry for putting you in the spot.
Let's hope I wake up at 5:30. And I get ready at 6 if I don't sleep in. And then because I have assignments due this coming week, so hopefully 6:30 to 11:15 study, as well as help my mom with all the housework and eat and all that stuff. And then I have work at 11. I have work at 12:30 to 5:30. But during my closing hours, I probably put my AirPods in and listen to a class or music or like Krishna's or something like that. And then come home, rest a bit, and then we go for dinner outside on Sundays. And then come home and rest and then sleep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like the way she was precise. 11:15, not 11:20, not 11:15.
No, because if I don't get there, then my mom won't drop me on time.
Thank you for being the brave one. So we can see that Radhanath Swami says that spiritual life is enjoyable. It is fun. It is wonderful. It is not just an austerity, right? Spiritual life is the greatest excitement, the most dynamic, enjoyable, blissful lifestyle to live when we have the right environment around us. So it's a lifestyle. It's not material life and spiritual life. It's only spiritual life, and it's a lifestyle that we have, where we can include Krishna into our everyday things. And I would like to end with this verse from Bhagavad Gita, the translation of which is, "But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have." So our material life will be taken care of if our intention is right, if we have the desire to serve more and more. Our material life will be taken care of, because Krishna says that he will carry, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So all our material life will be taken care of. We don't have to worry about that too much. Anyways, that paper I think everybody can take home, put it on their fridge for tomorrow. Every day is a new day. If tomorrow it doesn't work, possibly it's going to work on Monday. Start a new day with a new planning sheet. It works for me. I'm sure it's going to work for you as well. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, to do the Aarti, Rangnath Prabhu.